Hey everybody, I'm Tim, and today I got some scary news for you that we should all be terrified about. And you're watching Cigars Daily. I want to invite you to get even more out of this video and all of our videos when you watch them now on cigarsdailyplus.com. The world we live in has no shortage of scary news in it. Things designed to make you worry that if you don't think a certain way or spend your money a certain way or live a certain way, that you're going to miss the boat or potentially even die. There's so much going on that's designed to scare people that it's hard to find news that's good these days. And mostly at Cigars Daily, we like to give out great news about things that are great and make your life even better, but occasionally things pop up that we got to pay attention to if all of us are going to continue to do what we love. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. If I've said this once, I've said it a million times. Working in the cigar industry requires a thick hide because there's always something jumping up that threatens to kill or destroy your business. And that's what we're looking at right now with some new proposed legislation that requires some action for all of us to keep doing our thing. And so today, I want to take you guys through Bill S-411, some of the things that are coming along with it and what you guys can do about it to protect your collection and the entire cigar industry. Before I launch into telling you about this bill and all the scary things that are in it, I will tell you up front that there are a lot of great places to get information about this stuff online, not just on cigarsdailyplus.com, but there are places I look too. And one of them is halfwheel.com, the cigar industry's blog. If you're looking for some of the most up-to-date details, you can find them there. When it comes to the rights and rules and regulations that govern cigars and cigar shops and cigar smokers, we're actually not really a big deal to a lot of politicians. They don't even care enough about us to make bills about us. So much of what we do appears in the footnotes of other bills that are going on that it kind of makes you feel like they don't even care, only really enough to hassle you. But certainly that's the way that it feels when you read into S.411. This bill is called the Mothers and Offspring Mortality and Morbidity Awareness Act, which is a bill with a really great goal in mind. The goal of the MAMA Act is to reduce the number of women who die during childbirth in the United States. According to the bill, that's about 700 women a year. And you might ask yourself, what the hell does that have to do with premium cigars? And most other cigar smokers would be right there with you. But at the end of the day, when you read through the bill, it does drastically impact our entire industry in a way that is sort of geared toward making this more impractical for everybody that enjoys cigars. So one of the big changes that goes on with this bill is a change in what we call S-chip, or federal excise tax. That's the tax that's paid on a premium cigar when it's brought into the United States. Once it crosses over the border, somebody owes the federal government some money. And the goal for this bill is to increase that amount. And the amount by which they want to increase it is kind of staggering. You see, today, the way the federal government gets their money out of cigars happens at the border with federal excise tax, which is also called S-chip, like I mentioned. But the way they're doing it now is on a per cigar basis. There's a complicated formula for how it works, but what you really need to know is that for most cigars you're going to buy, that means it's about 40 cents on the stick. So this right here, the Bellis Artist Natural from AJ Fernandez, is $9.50. And of that $9.50, 40 cents is that S-chip, or federal excise tax. It goes straight to the federal government. And that's like not something that we love anytime that we have to pay taxes or give money to a government. But at the same time, 40 cents on a stick isn't outrageous. It's something we've all been living with, I think, reasonably comfortably for a number of years. At the same time, this new bill changes everything. Instead of basing the federal tax on a per cigar basis, they want to base it on a weight basis, the total weight of the cigars or tobacco that you're bringing into the country. And they're charging around $50 per pound. It's kind of confusing when I just lay it out like that, but what I can tell you really quite simply is what Half Wheel already did with their math. This cigar right here has 40 cents worth of tax on it right now. Under the new MAMA bill, it's going to have a weight basis face value of 16 grams, that means the tax on this cigar will go up to around $1.78. We're going to jump from 40 cents on the cigar to $1.78, which means this cigar, that's normally $9.50, would be somewhere in the $11 range. Now, we're still not paying rates that you're going to see at like when you go to Canada, where their taxes are inexorbitant, or you go to the UK or Australia, where the tax is almost as much or more than you're going to pay for the entire cigar. It's completely outlandish when you go to those places. But another thing you've got to factor in when you're in the good old US of A is that there is a multi-front battle being waged against premium cigars all the time. There's always some bill that has a footnote that threatens to kill everything that we love. So when you see a tax go from 40 cents to around $1.78, it's something that should raise our eyebrows, because when it comes to threats, this bill isn't the only one. And when it comes to the impact on the greater cigar industry, it doesn't sound like $1 or $2 is going to be totally crippling, but at the same time, there's one massive thing to consider, and that's the size of cigar makers out there. Premium cigars in America account for about 0.01% of tobacco sold in the country every year, a minuscule, almost not worth mentioning amount of everything that goes on. At the same time, that accounts for the entire industry and every size of company therein. You've got mega massive conglomerate companies in the cigar industry who a buck or two on taxes isn't going to crush or hurt them really too much, other than hurting your ability to pick the things up at the rate that you'd like to. But at the same time, in the cigar industry, you have a lot of boutique cigar companies who are operating on a really tight budget, and this is the kind of thing that could crush them with a boot. Something you really got to be concerned about if you love boutique brands in the cigar world today. And when it comes to the actual user experience for you on the other end, it's important to remember that what we're talking about here, $1.78 on roughly a Toro size, that is assessed before you get sales tax and tobacco tax in your state when you go to your local B&M. That's a massive uptick and something that could actually compound itself into a worse price than even it looks like at $1.78. But the good news is that even when it seems the darkest, there are still a few rays of hope or sunshine left, and certainly if you love cigars, it exists for you too. Even now, the Premium Cigar Association has already put out a website where you guys can go and send a letter to the governor of your state asking them to oppose this legislation. And that is such a huge and critical thing, to make sure that our politicians know that we're paying attention to what's going on at our city and state and even the federal level of government. It's one of the very few ways that we really get accountability from politicians who, as we all know, have been corrupt AF for a long time. And so I want to encourage you guys to check that out and even send a letter. These politicians are already in our lives. Maybe we should be in theirs too. And when it comes to the actual bill S411, it's going to a subcommittee for some voting. And while it is there, it is going to have to surpass what it's had issues with in the past. First of all, this is the fourth or fifth iteration of this bill that has gone to subcommittees and has not had any votes from subcommittees to pass it on through the legislative process. That's one thing that we hold some hope for. I think that this time it's a particularly scary situation because our entire legislative system, Congress, the Senate, and the president are all of one political party, and that's the Democratic Party. And I don't care what your personal affiliation are. But when you've got a Congress that's Democrat and a Senate that's Republican, it does make it so that bills have to be a lot more bipartisan to get through. If something like this can pass through subcommittees and make its way to the floor of the legislative chamber, it's got a lot more danger of going right through and being signed into law. And so this is where I normally ask for your comments, and I do want them. What do you guys think about cigar legislation? What do you think about the fact that legislation on premium cigars is typically not its own bill, but just worked in the footnotes of a bill about something completely different than cigars? I would love to have that conversation with you there, but more than anything, I want to ask you guys to go check out the link in the description where you can go and file and fill out and sign and send to your local state congressman a letter asking them to dispute this bill, because it would certainly be a bad thing, not only for the cigar industry, but for all the guys and gals that love cigars out there. I cannot wait to catch up with you guys in the comments, but I have to thank you so much for supporting Cigars Daily. It means the world to our family here, and please do check out this video on cigarsdailyplus.com. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.